I guess like I'm working redactively a lot recently, so I'm trying to kind of like wear away at things. I use my Dremel a lot, just because it can be a really intricate tool, or if you're really rough on tools like me, it can be even more heavy duty. And there's all those different types of attachments. I don't know if people are familiar, but it's like there's a head for everything on that tool. So definitely multi-tools are my jam because often I don't even know what I'm going to use something for until the thing or the material in front of me tells me what I want to do.
Hmm.
I'm like, sounds a
Yeah.
little intuitive, but I don't
Yeah.
know, like everything has a certain way of yielding to you,
Hmm.
if
And
that makes sense.
you kind of approach, I feel like, materials like from a deconstructive standpoint where you're like, or like all like a transformation sort of standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it might just come from like my need to understand things, but I definitely do work like deconstructing stuff, or like unraveling or seeing how they come apart. Like I was using these potato bags a while back and just like completely every single strand pulled apart the grid until it looked like this hair. And I'm like, I might have it next to me, but
I remember
I'll
that.
save it.
I remember that, the fringe. It was
Yeah, and even like working with yarn and just like brushing it out and then like I don't know, I use a lot of hair too, or like synthetic hair, and just like the different ways that you can sort of like brush that or cut that is really like one of my approaches to materiality.
yeah, I love that. I thought that was like so cool when you had told me that that fringe was like from a potato bag because I would have never guessed it before.
I'm like, I really think it's in this drawer here. I want to grab it, but I'm going to refrain. I've got this perfect setup that I don't want to like topple over.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, honestly, oftentimes I feel like a drive to kind of go towards fiber art, which might be something that I'm gonna continue in the future. But like historically, there's something about fiber art being like a kind of works conceptually with me because something about like hand works or like women's work it's been called before, just because typically crocheting and sewing is something that was a feminine dominated craft, but there's just like so much you can do with a single strand, and when you like unravel and find it or bunch it and bundle it up, it can be really amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like on a like kind of like on this like more like poetic level, like when you're unraveling material like that and getting to the core of it, like it makes the work seem so raw and so genuine and like very like I don't know how to exactly articulate it, but it makes me feel at least like it's like the core, like the parts that make up the whole that doesn't necessarily always make sense. And then the way
Yeah,
you purpose it and, you know, make it work with new materials to become a whole different thing, I think is super interesting, especially to these conversations that is pulling like, you know, both from like this like the struggle to like embrace femininity without like you know like pushing it away and wanting to embrace it like under this like weird patriarchy where it doesn't make sense. So I think that that's really cool that you do all of that.
thank you. Yeah, there's definitely this urge to like accept and embrace femininity, but at the same time this like similar urge or similar feeling that if I feel like if I am embracing femininity, then I'm bringing myself up short, or I'm not like living to the full potential in some way, which I think just goes back to those like conditioned like thoughts and behaviors of that you as a woman is not enough. um,
Right.
and maybe that's kind of like where my raw edges come in, or this like unfinished or sort of like unraveling feel to it, really speaks to sort of like this internal struggle or frustration, and oftentimes kind of feels like you're unraveling to yourself just trying to live in the world.
Yeah, definitely. That's super awesome. Sorry that this is like sort of off topic, but I kind of wanted to ask you, um, where do you like see your work being? Like what kind of like goals do you want to accomplish with this work?
Wow. I'm like, isn't that the question?
I know.
Uh,
Sorry,
Honestly,
question.
this what's been going on with the world right now, and like kind of like making us retreat into our homes and like retreat out of the social community has been sort of eye opening. That I definitely want to see my work out there where people can see it. Definitely hope to be in galleries, eventually. The major goal is to be in a museum with maybe a retrospective, but I definitely want my sculptures to be out in the physical realm where people can see them, and have a desire to work with more inclusive, more available venues, if that makes sense. Maybe a little less, more more accessible to people. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Because I don't know. I was just documenting all of my stuff today. Well, not all of my stuff, but quite a bit of it, and trying to figure out how to see something is really difficult. Because I mean, I know how I see my work and my sculpture, and honestly, like sometimes it feels like you get a little too close to your own work, and then you can kind of only see one side of it.
yeah,
um but that's the beautiful thing about the viewer being able to kind of like physically interact with your art, is that they bring so much more to the piece, and like it's not finished until somebody else can interact with it you know
definitely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think like a big goal for like, a lot of artists is to be contribute to a conversation or just, presenting an idea. But you can't do that. Like you can make the piece and like that can't necessarily happen unless people are looking at it and thinking about it and talking about it. So that's like one of the struggles,
yeah, and
especially right now.
yeah, especially right now, and just like especially since like I'm looking at one of my globs and I'm like, there are so many different sides to this thing. I have no idea what side to like capture for people to look at.
Yeah.
That's why you need to have
And I
good
feel
pictures.
like with Yeah, definitely. And I feel like with sculpture though, like you get so much more out of it in person. Like its relationship to your body makes you like you get like physical feelings from it, And yeah, I think that that's like super important, but I'm sure once things go back to normal, like you will definitely be in the galleries, so
Thank you.
we just have to wait it out a little bit.
It is the ultimate goal, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so what are you working on right now?
Oh God. Right now, I officially decided that I'm gonna take a hiatus from making sculptures, except for this one that I'm working on, and focus on my thesis paper just to finish up graduating.
Right.
Um, which is a just really tough for me as an artist. I work really visually, and having to kind of write about it is just a completely different animal for me. Uh, it's tough, but I guess some encouragement I would give to people out there trying to write about their own work is just keep doing it. And the more you write about it, the better it gets. That's what I keep telling myself. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm just working on this one wood piece, that's sort of, God, how to describe it? Globular and vertical, with points of tension and lots of fluff.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know really. I'm gonna leave it at that because, like I said, I feel like they kind of have to speak for themselves.
Hmm.
But um,
Oh,
working with wood this time. Usually, I'm working with just plaster and foam recently, but trying to kind of expand out there and work with some different materials.
yeah. This quarantine made you like a little extra innovative with your materials.
Ooh, it's had to, but yet again, it's kind of just like a whatever's around me and available. Because my neighbor cut down a tree and had some branches. So
I love
big
that.
game to me. I love it too. Love it when I can use somebody's scraps. And while it's not, while it's not like a main theme in my work, it is a value of mine is to use materials that are kind of already there and around.
Hmm.
Ultimately, kind of comes out of necessity, but also, it comes from a place of wanting to like have little impact on the world as I can, utilize what's
Yeah.
already in it rather than you know, encourage more consumption. But
Yeah. And those interesting references to just to your environment that I think work really well.
oh, that's another thing. Speaking of environment, I've come to realize how working in a dedicated space, like a studio space, changes my work so much from just working in my room. Because I don't know, the years ago when I started this, I was working out of my room and had some really great work come out of that and was super happy with it. But it definitely had a much more personal, emotional, sort of kind of darker expression. And my work is kind of returning to a more emotional, kind of darker place now that I'm back in this sort of environment. So it's just interesting to be aware of how like your surroundings can kind of inform your work too.
That's crazy because I feel like you can almost use that like in your thesis about like how like approaching this whole like idea of like digital media and how it conditions you to be a certain type of you, like the same way how like that influences just like the physical influences around your work are like kind of conditioning it in a certain way. And I feel like those things could almost go like hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's crazy how much things influence you without you noticing,
Hmm.
or without being super conscious of it. But
Yeah. That's like awesome. I love that your work sort of like asking us, and it's not like you said, it's not telling us what to feel, but it's asking us just to be mindful of like what these things mean and like consider the dynamics between, like femininity and environment even. And I think that that's super interesting because it's something that, is constantly sort of changing in our society, and I see it changing in our society, but in a really like not always in the best way. Like, you know what I mean? Like this transition into just like digital marketing, you know, and making it seem empowering when it's not. Like, you know
yeah,
what I you know what I mean? So I think it's really cool to like, I don't know, like double like do like a double take on like what you're really looking at.
yeah, and I think one of the biggest things working through with my work is that you can't automatically trust what's being presented to you, even if it seems like it's in your best interest. Like there's always someone behind something with their own biases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good to like recognize those biases, and kind of like how you fit in them too.
Hmm.
But um, yeah. Well,
Well, that's super
any
cool.
fun questions that don't have to be art related?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I should have had a question ready for you.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Um, My question for you is, if you could be, well, I guess it is an art related question, but
Okay.
I'm sorry. But I just want to know, like, if you had like unlimited access to any materials and any space, like, is there some crazy project you have ever like fantasized about doing that you're like, it's just a
Yes.
matter of like, yeah, what is it?
I'm like, yes, I do.
Oh, somebody
Getting
else.
some crazy eyes out here. And then I'm gonna answer this favorite celebrity crush because it's hilarious, actually.
I can't
But
wait.
so okay, my favorite material to work with right now is puffy paint.
Puppy paint.
It's puffy paint. There's something about it. Um, it's it's that stuff that you use to like decorate your shirts when you're on the volleyball team or whatever. That's like what I remembered using it for.
For
It's like school spirit to the max.
forbidden frosting.
Yeah, but I am just obsessed with it right now. And I think that if weight wasn't an issue, time wasn't an issue, and like I could have this big giant room to dry it, I would just like with the tiniest thing just like do layers and layers and layers and just build it up until it was this giant glob, sort of reminiscent to Teresa Middleton. I think it's Teresa Middleton.
Mhm.
Her work ends up having these like really large kind of like stalactite looking, or whichever one goes up or down.
Yeah, I know what
But
you're
I would
talking
make that out
about.
of puffy paint.
I love that. Would it be just like a room, like a installation room?
God, maybe it might have to be because I don't think I could move it after doing it. Because it would like it doesn't quite have its own structure. It's a little free, it's a little moving, but yeah,
That
I just
love to.
love puffy paint.
So, who's
It's
your favorite celebrity crush?
my favorite celebrity crush is oh my God, I can't remember his name. That's the worst thing ever. He
Maddie.
played in no. You're gonna help me because he played in Waterworld. He was the main character in that. I don't know if you know that. You wouldn't know that. Have you not seen Waterworld? It's the best thing ever. Oh God. Kevin Costner.
Oh,
I
interesting.
love him. I love him. I think he's so sexy. Like, thank you, James. Thank you. It's literally like my favorite bands ever.
And
But
you know what? I understand, honestly.
he's just so great. There's something about him. I don't even like blondes. I don't know, but
Just Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. He is old. He's old, but he's great. I think
Some,
there was a question too. What is it? My quarantine morning routine.
yeah, I was gonna ask you.
And roll over and talk to my dog, snuggle him a little bit because he's definitely crawled into bed with me at that point. He's a big baby. Um, and then I put on my grandma robe. It's pink, it's soft, and it's definitely for women 60 and plus, but I love it.
Sounds
My
elegant.
brother, it's so elegant. My brother got it for me, and I'm just like, okay, comfort to the max. Style, maybe lacking, but and then I go outside. I try to get outside um, right in the morning just to kind of like something about passing over the threshold of my door makes me feel like I'm actually like activating, if that makes sense.
Uh, yeah, getting that like fresh air, some sunshine.
So happy to have a backyard during all of this, especially for those art projects that are toxic. Like I've been working with plastic recently too, liquid plastic, and you like mix it two parts and then it like hardens up. Um, but that stuff can off gas pretty badly. So,
Yeah, I know.
right? Thankful I have an area that isn't my small bedroom to do that stuff in. But the
That's,
puffy paint stays inside.
yeah, protect the puffy paint.
Mm-hmm. Protect the puffy paint and let it dry. Although I have to keep cats from walking through it. I'm like eyeing one right now, but Yeah.
Exciting. I can't wait to see what you make next. Can't wait to see your new sculpture. Is there anything else that you feel like you want everybody to know about your work or just in general?
I don't know. I'm like, I feel like maybe I'm getting a little too inspirational here, but I feel like I've been a little hard on myself and getting a little discouraged, and that's something that other people struggle with too. And just to remind yourself to not get discouraged and to just keep making and keep putting yourself out there. And I mean, sometimes it's really scary because our work can kind of be a part of ourselves, and putting it out there can be really difficult, especially for someone as introverted as me. But just keep it up, keep it out there, and do your best, you know?
Oh, I love that. I hope everybody is staying safe and staying sane. And thank you, everyone who watched us have our little conversation. And I think everybody needs to go check out Maddie's work and give her a follow. So she's tagged in our most recent Instagram post.
I'm just kidding, but you should.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Katie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on. It's always
Yeah.
good to talk to you, and I miss you.
And thanks, Heart2Art podcast. This is such a great thing. I love that you guys are doing it. I hope you keep it up, and I can't wait to tune in next time.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.